This video shares some advice on communicating transparent expectations. I think traditionally at center, students have a pretty decent idea of what to expect that they've gotten from their roommates, from their older siblings, from the lore about center classes, and that may or may not match up with your course, but at least they have some expectations for what a center class is like. This fall and under COVID in general, we've changed our classes quite a bit to accommodate the block schedule and to deal with this need for increased remote and hybrid and online and distant experiences. And so I think it's even more important to be really transparent about the expectations that we have for our students. So there are a couple of components to this kind of communication that I'd like to talk about in turn. First, being transparent about why students are doing what they're doing. And second, being transparent about how you imagine that they will navigate the class and the different components that you've set up. So first, why are students doing what they're doing? I think that we're all fairly accustomed to laying out pretty clear learning objectives in our syllabi and thinking through what we want students to be able to do when they're finished with the course. I know an area that I'm often less clear about is the purpose of particular assignments over the course of the semester. The TILT framework, which stands for Transparency in Learning and Teaching, and which is described in a link in the notes below this video, suggests that we should strive to be transparent about the purpose of any assignment, what skills or knowledge are students going to be gaining or practicing through the assignment, the tasks that students need to accomplish in order to proceed through this assignment, and the criteria for success, what a successful paper or blog post looks like. The TILT research suggests that this can be especially useful for underrepresented students and first-generation students because it lays bare the kind of hidden curriculum of implicit expectations and makes sure that everything is available for all students. This can be particularly important for new pieces, right? Students may not have written discussion forum posts or done annotation using a social annotation tool like Perusal or Hypothesis. And so you may need to be very clear about the specific steps that you want them to walk through and what doing these steps well actually looks like. That can help students understand why they're doing what they're doing. A lot of times we hear students complain about busy work in a course, and I interpret that as work that students don't really understand the point of. But you probably have a point in assigning small group discussions or peer review or homework assignments, homework problems after every class. And so the key here is to be really clear and communicate transparently about why you want students to do these things and to show them that these things really do matter to their learning, and then they will feel a bit less like busy work. At least I know that's been the case in the small group discussions that I've assigned as my thinking has become clearer about why I think it's important for students to speak with each other over the course of the class. I've been able to communicate that better to students, and students see this as more of an integral part of what they're doing in the class rather than just busy work. So we can think about why students are doing what they're doing, and then also how they should proceed through the course. And again, when we are a bit more online than usual, when we're incorporating more tools that are potentially unfamiliar, this is where we really need to be explicit and almost over-communicate about how students are going to proceed through the course. Specifically, the tools and platforms that they're using, the resources and the assignments that you want them to carry out, and other activities that might be a bit unfamiliar to them. So the first thing to be really transparent and clear about is how you want students to access the different tools and platforms and assignments. It's nice to have everything go through Moodle so that everything is links in Moodle, but it's also really important to let students know what those links lead to so that they know if they are going, for instance, to a New York Times article that's going to take them 5 minutes to read, or a 30-page journal article that's going to take them a while to read. And then using the TILT framework to approach some of these unfamiliar assignments. So what you see here is a screen grab of a perusal annotation activity in Moodle. They click to it pretty easily through Moodle, but then they'll need to figure out how to navigate this window and where to click and what to do, and also what a good question or response looks like. Right? What are you looking for in us? And as they fill out this activity, what should they be doing and thinking about? So limit the amount of platforms and tools and different places students have to go. Make sure that they know what these things are as they click on the various links, and then make sure that they know how to navigate these different platforms and assignments and what you're looking for. So here you see two videos on YouTube. One is an introduction video to a weekly module in a course, and one of them is a YouTube video of Irish people trying American camping meals. These are different genres of video, right? You would expect that students would approach these different videos in a different way, right? Maybe taking notes or sitting with the syllabus and listening to the video that introduces a weekly module with less multitasking and kind of less of a casual approach than another video on YouTube. But students might not necessarily see that difference. And so another area for transparent communication is how students should be using the different asynchronous resources and videos that you have pulled together for them. Should they be taking notes when they watch your video lectures? Should they be pausing to try the problems? Should they watch them before they try the quiz or after? Helping students develop strategies for resources that they might not be so familiar with and might easily confuse with just a video that I watched on YouTube could be really helpful in their success in your course. And then finally, make sure that you communicate what you want students to do and how you want them to approach particular activities or course components. So what you see here is the cover of a book co-authored by our own Mary Daniels on desirable difficulties. The idea behind desirable difficulties is that we sometimes want students to try hard things, and that the act of trying, not getting it right on the first try, needing to revise or rethink can actually be a really successful way for students to learn. But they need to understand that, right? Some of our students feel really anxious if, for example, you want them to try hard problems before they come to class. And then maybe you're using the class as a time to walk through the difficulties, a time for questions, but they might feel like they need to get those questions right before they come to class. And they might feel sort of stuck that they have to learn on their own how to solve the problems. Even if your intention is that they will come to class not having solved the problems and that will be what you talk about in class, students need to understand that. They need to understand the role of their trying, getting it wrong, and then ultimately figuring out how to do that kind of problem, that they need to understand what this process is and that that's the process that you intend for them to follow, rather than kind of feeling anxious and lost that they don't know how to work the problems off the bat. So I think our students really want to know why we're asking them to do things. They want to see that their work matters. And they also want an organization that helps them keep a grasp on things. They want to know how to proceed. They want to know what to expect and to be able to predict a little bit what their approach should be to particular days or weeks of your course. And I think overall they want a professor who's receptive to their feedback and to their thoughts, a professor who is supportive and willing to adjust if needed, listen, explain why maybe they can't adjust, but they do care about that student. And they want a professor who's present. I think that our students really crave the ability to be present and to engage with us and with their classmates. And so whatever the opportunities to do that look like in your course, I think that that's something that students really, really value. If you want to talk about any aspect of your class or you want to troubleshoot or brainstorm, we're always here at the CTL and we're happy to help.